every city you burn, I'm gonna build one high.
Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and it is February 6th, YC127, and this is the Eve Universe Show! Oh, good, my mic is working. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's it going, guys? I think I just peaked my mic. People have been complaining that I've been too quiet recently, so there you go. How's it going, guys? I know we're late today. I'm sorry. I thank you for people showing up. It's been a hell of a morning for me. There's been a lot going on. There was stuff yesterday with Eve, and then my son has been sick, and you know it's just been tense. So, but everything's sorted. I've bribed him with his laptop, so he should be good for the next little bit, and I can talk to you about this over important thing, the drifter attacks, and what it all means. So. First of all, I was actually tempted to stream yesterday, I think it was, because, or the day before. I think maybe it was the day before. Time is an illusion at this point. But, like, my thoughts were we should stream to see what happens when the drifter sites end, right? So the drifter sites have a timer that count down. On, I think it was Tuesday, that timer counted down to 0. And nothing happened. It just ended the drifter invasion. And that led me with a lot of questions and a lot of confusion. And to be quite frank, I was glad that I didn't stream that because, like, I felt kind of like there wasn't much to say. And I felt a little bit pessimistic about the whole thing, if I could be really honest. It felt like we've had a lot of kind of missteps in the last little bit. And I was concerned that it was like, oh my God, we've built up for 3 months and then this thing happens and it just doesn't do anything. And there were people that, of course, whenever these kinds of things happen, you have the people that were complaining that, well, clearly it's staged, right? That CCP is it's scripted, right? But, and that was the reason why nobody was able to beat it, right? Because, like, none of the factions got anywhere close to winning. Like, the only drifter crisis, I think the highest that any drifter crisis got was Caldari at 30%. And, like, we personally worked for several hours in ODOT doing the drifter crisis centers, the deathless version, mostly because it was the one that was less popular. You know, the Lancer Dread site, very easy to do, much faster to do. And therefore, people that are worried about, like, money first is per hour or whatever, a lot of them gravitate to that. Even, like, the multi-boxers or whatever, you gravitate to it because it's also a little bit easier to control the multi-box. The Deathless site itself is actually a lot of fun and requires a good combination of both logistics and combat pilots. For the most part, because we had newer players in our group without maximum skills, and just to ensure that the fight was successful, because there is a lot of incoming DPS, we ended up going with 6 people most of the time. We did complete it with 5 a couple of times, but we did it most of the time with 6 people, just for a little bit of buffer and to get everybody involved. But people had a lot of fun, and we were still making about 13 million a piece. But, like, across multiple hours of doing this, with other people doing the Lancer Dreadnought site, we gained like 2%. And then the next morning I wake up and it was down 10%. It went from 12% to 2% in the amount of time that I could wake up. And, man, I ain't gonna lie, I was totally disheartened. I was like, what the fuck is the point of all of this? I just swore within the first 5 minutes, I think, of streaming. Nope, it was not within the first 5, but I'm going to get, if I get demonetized, please like, comment, and subscribe. Consider becoming a supporter or a member, or buying some merch, including this shirt. At any rate, so, like, it felt like it was an unwinnable battle. And then it ended and they all just kind of vanished. I put up a quick little short making fun of it. But a lot of people were like, oh, well, this was clearly scripted, just like all of the other events. First of all, if you ever hear anybody tell you that the invasions were scripted, they're lying to you. Okay, they're just wrong. They maybe not lying because they may not realize that what they're saying is not true. But like, the idea that the invasions were scripted was just wrong. It was an AI actor that was deciding where to attack. CCP didn't even know what systems were going to be attacked when. It could have very well have gone the other way if we had chosen to do so. If anything, by saying that it was a foregone conclusion, you're just saying that human behavior is predictable. Okay? And this is kind of the same thing here, too, where like people were like, oh, well, you know, CCP made it so that it went this way. Well, first of all, people weren't even willing to run all of the different sites. People weren't really invested in making it happen to win. So, you know, progress wasn't really made. If we had had good time zone coverage, then maybe it would have gone differently. If people weren't failing the sites, maybe it would have gone differently. But it led me to all these kinds of questions. But the one thing I was pretty sure was that this wasn't scripted to go this way. It didn't make any sense. Why would CCP put in a whole site that only spawns at the very end and then intentionally make it so that we never make it there? And even if they weren't going to make it happen, like even if the intention was for the drifters to win their first fight, then why wouldn't that have led to something? Why wouldn't CCP have rolled something out when the drifters would want? Now, I'm not saying that there weren't problems. There are a reason why the event ended up the way it did. My point is that there wasn't a script that CCP was like, and then we'll do the drifter crisis, and then we'll let that run for 4 days and they won't win, and then we'll do the next. Like, that wasn't the plan per se. At least I didn't want to believe it was the plan. How could it be possible that there's literally nothing else? And for most of the day on Tuesday, I had like this dark night of the soul dealing with this problem of like, surely this isn't it, right? And I still don't believe, and you know, so I begin thinking to myself and talking to other people about what could have possibly have happened. And I keep coming back to that 10%, right? It lost 10% overnight. That feels intentional, you know, as somebody who's done faction warfare for years. So I know all about time zone coverage and I know all about your progress being wiped out at night. The amount of progress that we were making during the day didn't match with the amount of progress that was lost at night, which got me to start thinking about something. One of the problems is that the hacking site is able to be disrupted very easily and fail, right? It goes into lockdown mode and then nobody can go in there and do anything. And it's just funny for people to just go in and trigger it and then be done with it. Meanwhile, also, like, there's the one home front, the Deathless site, where you're theoretically able to destroy the tower too, right? And then also, like, the salvaging site was really deadly. So maybe a bunch of people went in there and, like, tried to do it and then just left them abandoned. And then also, I mean, like, who knows? Maybe even the Lancer site had gotten abandoned every once in a while. And I was like, well, hold on. They tell us that we make progress. How? Hey, man, coming back to check out Eve. How's it doing? Anything new? Lots new. But this story does have a good end, by the way. So I think the person in charge of launching this content was new. I think that there were new people working on this, right? I'm not saying that the person in charge was, but there are a couple of signs that somebody who's newer to the company was part of this project, but that's neither here nor there. So, like, my thought was, well, what if sites fail, that's what's causing it to push back down? And what if CCP is treating all of these hacking sites that are being purposefully triggered as the sites failing, right? If that was true, then it would be far more efficient and far easier for people to make the progress go down than up. It was the best thing that kind of explained it. Oh, the shield resist thing is a good one too, Wizard. We'll get to that in a second. The patch notes, the patch notes themselves seem to show that I was dead on. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to talk about the crisis events as they are, but you know, we showed them off in the last stream and we talked about them a little bit. I've now done the all of the sites besides the Lancer Dread site successfully, and we have a lot more information to go into. So we've come out of that Dark Night of the Soul. CCP, like more drifter events, more drifter sites started spawning with by the end of the night. And then the next day we started getting the patches that not only fixed the drifter sites, so now it's actually a really Wesley Pipes. Maybe? No. I'm so bad with names. No. The drifter crisis is good now, I would say. Like, arguably. Like, all of the complaints, all of the concerns that I had, both last stream and in the intermeeting time, spoiler alert, I'm really happy with the drifter crisis sites now. They might become too popular, but we'll see. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the patch notes. We'll start with step 1, which is yesterday we get influence has been adjusted. Remove influence lost when failing certain drifter sites. So first step, confirmation. People quickly failing the sites, or people failing the sites throughout the night. Phishing is in EVE Online. Yes. In fact, we've been doing that. So people failing the sites during the first cycle was one of the big reasons why this difficulty has been being pushed down. They also increase the ability, the influence gained when completing crisis sites. This is a huge point because, so this isn't just about whether or not we can progress. This is about when people are running the sites, if they can see the progress that they're making. One of the biggest problems that we ran into was that we would run the sites for 2 hours and it doesn't change the percent at all. And people are like, well, are we even doing anything, right? Sure, there's a payout, and the payout's fine, but, you know, not. There are definitely better ways of making money with 5 people, but, like, really we're doing this to help progress the crisis, right? So I can happily say that now, this crisis that we're currently in, it is now day 2, full, you know, the second full day of the crisis, and we are now at 57%, which is further than we've been in any of the other crises last time. Crises. And if we go to interstellar events, we can see that the Caldari one is at 68%, and the Minmatar one is at 57%. So this is all, like, things are progressing much smoother overall. We can talk about the nullsec stuff too. There's lots of stuff to talk about today. While we have it here, though, we can point out, look at all these. Do you see the highlighted ones are the Lancers? There's 1 field rescue and 2 Lancers. That's telling me that there's, like, both of those sites are being run right now because they're continually being cycled. The field rescue site is actually pretty easy and pretty good, for the record, if you have 3 people. Looks like, oh yeah, one of the places that are under attack right now, which is pretty amazing, is in Amar space. We have Tash Mercon Prime, the current the home planet, the home system of the Empress of Amar is currently under attack from the drifters. So if you're loyal to Amar, you might want to help out with that one. Just saying. So, okay, back to the patch notes. So in addition to that, we see Crisis Resolution Vigilant Dreamer sites will only appear if at least 2 days have passed within a crisis system. This tells me something critical. Okay. Obviously, these changes show that the results that they got were not what they wanted. But I'm not sure if I'm necessarily willing to call it a mistake or not. The problem with these kinds of events is that, like, they aren't scripted. It's not that they're scripted, it's that they aren't scripted. Now, they are predicted, right? Like, let's go back to the invasion one. Let's say CCP expected to make Pochfin. They planned Pochfin to be 27 star systems. And we get to pick the 27 star systems through our own actions, right? The first 27 star systems that are taken, those are going to be the Pochfin systems. And everything else is not going to be Pochfin. That was the plan, right? Could Pochfin have not been formed? Absolutely. If, you know, Serenity brought every single one of their invaded systems into a fortress. So Edencom won every single one of their invasions. If we had done the same thing as Singularity or as Serenity, then the Triglavians would have literally lost. We weren't that far from losing. There's like less than 20 blue stars total remaining. And Edencom won more, about twice as many systems as they lost. So it wasn't a foregone conclusion at all. But, and this is what I will admit to, it was predictable, right? CCP may not be able to like script it 100%, but they can predict that if they offer 120 sites or systems or whatever it was for us to fight over, the Triglavians will win at least 27 of them, right? That's a safe bet. Now, they could have been prepared to do something if it had gone the other way, but that's the difference between a prediction and a script, okay? So in this sense, we have these Drifter crisis sites, right? Now, based on everything that they know from invasions and insurgencies and incursions, they can make a guess as to how much effort it will take to run these sites. And they set these things up to be like, okay, well, you can accumulate a little bit of effort per site completed, and sites that are failed are going to lose some effort. And you tweak the numbers with the expectation that it'll grow over time and hopefully last 2 or 3 days and then be completed, right? But here's the thing. What they don't want is it to be just like, they don't want us to just blow it up, right? What they don't want is us to finish an entire crisis site system in a single day, right? Think about, actually, another good example would be insurgencies. Hey! Thank you so much, Bad Boy Smooth, with 20 gifted subs. On behalf of Ragtag, Timoth, Peck, Oridan, Jack, Cetonia, Adam, Tranquilla, Container, Waldonis, Anthony, Revras, Bollocks, Trink, Dizel, Zeke, Nick Sofa, William Godin. Why is this taking so long? And myself. Thank you so much. No, for this, no. So, but what's important here is they want this to go for a period of time, and then if it can be completed, have it be completed. So the question when you're coming out with these kinds of things, it's like, well, what is the better result? Would you rather them fail to do it? Excuse me. Would you rather them fail to do it completely, or would you rather them wallop it? Now, another good example of this would be like when the Crimson Harvest got renewed once. They didn't really, the person who was working on the Crimson Harvest at the time was relatively new to the company, didn't understand all of the tiniest details about the game, didn't realize that Blood Angels, Blood Angels, the Dark Blood items are actually incredibly valuable. And so just put it into the loot table. It's like, oh, well, we're doing Crimson Blood Raider stuff. Like, they get faction stuff, so we put faction stuff in the loot table. And it made it so that for a day, you could just, they dropped all over the place. And it crashed the price of a lot of these modules for years to come. It didn't help that goons were grinding on Blood Raiders during that time. But still. So, like, once that genie's out of the bottle, you can't stuff it back in. If you put it so that way it distributes too few of something, you can always up the chance of it. But if you suddenly have all of this stuff in the universe, you can't take it back, right? So the question is, would they rather us fail the first drifter crisis, or would they rather us beat it with a trivial amount of effort? And I think that they erred on the side of making it too tough. Now, there probably was still some mistakes in all of it. They probably miscalculated where that balance bar was. And there was some bugs, including the like they probably didn't anticipate people failing the sites quite as efficiently as they did, or something, right? There's something that made it so it didn't play out the way that they necessarily wanted it to, but they were very conservative in how they rolled it out. And now that they've seen it one play out, they can make adjustments to the future one. And I say all of this because if you were just trying to correct it, if it was just like, oops, we didn't mean for it to be this, like, difficult, blah, 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 you know, we wanted you to be able to complete it, then they would just do the first two things. They would remove the influence loss and they would increase the influence gain. But the point is that they wanted the crisis sites to last for a few days, 2 or 3 days. And there's a lot of reasons why they might want this, mostly because of the fact that, like, people organize around these things. So, any thoughts that Triglavians will fight drifters in HiSec too? I think it's very possible. Very, very possible. That's absolutely a way that this could go. So, but that demand that now the crisis sites will last at least 2 days tells me that they have concern that the changes that they're making right now to the game, to these sites, might risk them get finishing too easily. Much like the insurgencies. They didn't predict how insurgencies were going to go out. They thought that there would be a lot less organization on the pirate side. So the pirates just absolutely walloped the first several insurgencies because the parameters that CCP had established were too easy for the amount of force that was organizing to make the pirates win. And so eventually they had to make changes to make insurgencies kind of last more than, 2 days or whatever. So in the same sort of way, I find it interesting that they're putting kind of a hard counter on this being completed too early. Remember, there is, like, when it comes to incursions, there's this big drama all the time about people ending the incursion too quickly by killing the mom and stuff. So, like, letting these things play out for a few days is apparently pretty important. And that's why that patch note stands out to me. I remember the scavenger hunt for the fulcrum taking way shorter than they expected. Yeah. So that's the thing, is that, like, how do we make these things, be something that plays out, but also something that doesn't just get walloped, and also something that isn't too hard, right? Because obviously what they set up as the rules as is ended up being too hard for us to complete for various reasons. So, let's keep going. That's all I have to say about that right now. Next. Greatly increased the number of observatory spectrometry items found within the Crisis Observatory infiltration sites. So this is that relic site. We ran it on Tuesday when this first came out, I think. And if you remember, my biggest takeaway was how little its value was. After hacking, it's a very dangerous site, right? One mistake anywhere in the site, the entire site goes under lockdown, bubbles pop up everywhere, guns start shooting you, and rats warp in to start killing you. It is a very, very deadly site when it comes to exploration sites for what it is. And in the end, yeah, and they potted people too. So it was and for all of that, I hacked all of the cans in the site, which I think there was 6. And I had a grand total of 2.5 million ISK worth of loot, for those of you who don't remember. That's wild. I was getting 4 to 6 of the sheets per can, and the sheets were worth 50,000 ISK each. It was so bad that we had speculated that they had literally just dropped a 0. Right? That they had forgotten, and it was supposed to be 500,000, and instead it was 50,000. Wait, hold on. Is that a new one? Hansy, is that a new one, or is that a copy? Let me go check. It's a copy. Yeah, it's a copy. Okay. Don't get me excited like that. So I can report now. And God, here goes my lovely time of being able to do this without being harassed like last night. So last night I ran this site again, and this was the loot I got. This is one site. Now, there was a piece to this that I was also realizing after the fact. I was thinking, okay, well, there's these data cores, and the data cores are named after the various things in the site, the hazards in the site. So maybe there's more to the site than just hacking the cans. And that's when I found out that, yes, in fact, you can not only hack the cans, you can hack the defenses to shut them off, which I had done in the previous run. But what I didn't realize is that you could actually kill the defenses. Once you shut them down, you can attack and destroy the defenses, and then they drop a data core. But the data cores themselves, as you can see, are only worth 250 million ISK, or sorry, 250,000 ISK themselves. So I was like, okay, well, there's a little bit more value. Oh, this one's 400,000. It seems like, and this one is 500,000. So there's a little bit more value if you kill all the stuff. But let me tell you, these dudes take a long time to kill for an exploration ship. Maybe if you brought a cruiser, which you can bring a cruiser into the site. So I was thinking to myself, well, maybe I'm supposed to go in and like disarm everything and then bring a different ship in order to blow everything up. And that's how to maximize the value out of the site. It was exhausting. But I'm happy to say, look at how many drops I got. In one site, I got 22.5 million ISK worth of the observatory records. That's assuming that they're worth, 50,000 each. And I got one fragmentary observation, which is 1 million, plus 2 of the gleaned, which are 8 million each, for a grand total of, if I put together everything that I got in the site, I actually earned 40 million ISK worth of sellable doodads from one exploration site. And likewise, somebody else I was talking to in the ARC Discord did it for 2.5 hours. Or no, yeah. And made over 250 million ISK. So I can tell you right now that the benefits are now absolutely worth it. Given the fact that these sites are all in the same system, you could just roll through these things. Now, they are still very dangerous. Yeah, they added some ships. These sites do require a little bit of attention, and we can walk our way through it if we want to in a little bit. But the point of the matter is that these have gone from being something that annoyed me to being something I'm actually really glad that they did. These are fucking awesome, actually. Just this little simple exploration site that is more complicated than just go and hack the cans, but less complicated than the sleeper sites. But more importantly, there's so little information about this out right now, and these are going to be here for a little bit amount of time, and they could mix them up a little bit, but like even just the way they were, it felt so good yesterday to be able to kind of work my way through it and figure out how to solve this problem, knowing that like, okay, well, I hacked all the cans. Well, now what? Well, now I need to shoot at one of the things, but maybe it'll cause it all to blow up in my face. I don't know. But the only way I'm going to know is to try it. And that felt really good, right? And this amount of reward felt really good as a reward. The field rescue operations we did with 3 people yesterday. And we got 15 million ISK per site. So overall, and that's per person for 3 people. Overall, these are pretty worth it for what they are. I still don't recommend multi-boxing it. I mean, yeah, sure, you could. But honestly, some of the value out of this is just an opportunity to fly around with your friends. We will be running more of these sites. In fact, I'd like to run some of these on stream. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow or whatever. But yeah, bottom line is I'm having a lot of fun with these things now, which is good. However, that ain't all that there is going on here. There's a lot more that they've delivered on in the last couple of days. Also, so now when the hacking site fails, it goes into a lockdown, but then today they also patched it so that lockdown like can end after a period of time. So it's not just completely fried the first time anybody warps into it and goes like 5 feet off to the side and triggers the defenses. So that's good. And then roaming NPCs within Drifter Crisis systems will no longer attack capsules. So yeah, on day one, they started potting people, which is pretty fucking wild, given the fact that it didn't have any like alerts or anything in space or in game. It's just like suddenly you jump in and there's a gate camp of sleepers and they kill you and pod you. That's a little rough. Even I was like, man, that's a mean thing to do in high sec. So now they no longer pod, at least. That's good. Check out this coffee cup. Man, don't you wish you had a coffee cup like this? You could get a coffee cup like this. Links down below. And then also they increased the number of deep flow rifts. I gotta say, when I was in low sec, I did 3 deep flow rifts yesterday, and I failed to get all 33 cans twice. Well, 4 times, but twice it was because I got a little bit too greedy and accidentally caused a surge. But it's legitimately difficult to get all 33 cans in the amount of time that you have now. What? Okay. Hold on. Oh! Wait. Hey! Alright, there you are. Cool. You love the cup that you got? Yeah! Alright. I also think they put the data cores on the wrong loot table, dropping in Rex instead of hacking. No, I think it's just designed that way. Like, I think that you're designed to turn them off with hacking and then blow them up. Okay, I will TL. Okay, so, but why was I so focused on doing the deep flow riffs? Oh boy! So, okay. The big thing that's so exciting about the Drifters is that the Drifters offer us a very important lens to one of the biggest mysteries of EVE Online. All right. So let's go all the way back to 2014. The player base, one of the things that the player base is very excited about all the time is the Jovians. The Jovians were set up as this like ultimate race, almost the Deus Ex Machina, the dev race for the people. They had advanced technology, they did cool things, they have their own space that they cut us off from, all this kind of stuff. And so people wanted CCP to do more with the Jovians. Let us join the Jovians, let us be Jovians, let the Jovians do more. We wanted, like, there are people that really love the Jovians, but the problem is that in order for CCP in order for the Jovians to do what CCP needed them to do in the game, the Jovians needed to both be incredibly powerful, but also basically shackled, right? Which is why they are like this dying empire. They're infected by this disease that is biological, or like that is genetic. It's built into them, so there's no escaping it. The Jovians that we know of, or at least that we knew of in 2014, are a bare shadow of their former self. And one of the greatest times in Jovian history was a time that became so mired by conflict and strife that all records from that time period were destroyed or lost, and even the Jovians don't seem to know what happened then. It's known as the Shrouded Days. It is the fall of the Second Jovian Empire, and it is the most mysterious time in EVE history. So, you know, the Triglavians theoretically go back to that period of time. The Drifters come back to this period of time. So rather than dealing with we wanted the Jovians, but the Jovians were were a shadow of their former selves. So CCP quietly got rid of the Jovians that are in the modern day and started bringing back the old school Jovians, the Sleepers, the Drifters, and later the Triglavians. Caveat, Triglavians may or may not actually be Jovians, but they were contemporaries of the Jovians, right? So this is what leads to what I've called for years the precursor crisis. And so like, and then, but the Jovians were, the Drifters were also tightly coupled with the Sleepers, which are tightly coupled with the Constructs, which are tightly coupled with the first-person shooter, right? So for years, people have said, oh, well, they've started ignoring the Drifter storyline. But part of the problem is that without the shooter allows us to be on the ground. The shooter allows us to be like a person operating. The shooter allows us to be a soldier. And more importantly, the shooter allows us to see from on the ground, right? Which is where the other really operates. And so to forward the plot, we need to be able to see inside the construct, the sleeper constructs, the virtualities, as they've now started to call them. We would need to understand more about what the other is and all this stuff. So I've said for years that we were not going to get more stuff for the drifters until the shooter was ready. Well, guess what? We've been doing the shooter now for over a year, and the drifters have started to re-emerge as a major force within the politics of the game, culminating in what we're seeing here with the drifter crisis, right? Okay, so why is all of this important? Well, when we started talking about Joseph Akata, right, we had the earlier in this whole shenanigans, we had Joseph Akata's journal entries show up, where we now start to learn more about the history of this guy named the Deathless and his relationship to both the ancient Jovians and the modern day Society of Conscious Thought, which is the difference between, which is the modern remnants of the Jovians as we know them, the Third Jovian Empire. So then, as we get closer to this crisis, we start to see more ancient Jovian stuff start to show up, right? We see the stuff about the Warden and the Fulcrum and all this stuff. And it's like, there's hints as to information about the ancient days, right? The big mystery that we've all been kind of waiting for. And that leads to, what was the original one? Hold on. Oh, yeah, Gleaned. So that leads to, if we go to HoboLeaks, sorry, I would have had this more ready, but I didn't have very much time to prepare today as much as I'd like to. So when they added in all these sites, they added in these gleaned records. And we talked about these before. The thing about these dates, even though a lot of the dates are blocked out, one thing is for sure is that it's in the 2200s. And according to our timeline, that puts this likely towards the end of the Second Jovian Empire, or at least during the Second Jovian Empire. And the Second Jovian Empire was ran by a guy named Michael Bohr. 22,000. Michael Bohr united the Jovian Empire, and he maintained control through his Council of Tyrants, right? When he went through and united all of the enclaves into one Jovian Empire again, each of the enclaves had a representative, and those became the Council of Tyrants. And that's just what they were known by. This is the verbiage and the nomenclature that the drifters have stolen in order to kind of assert the authority of the Council of Tyrants. That's why the drifters call themselves the Tyrannos, right? Now, these are new records that are gotten from the Jovian Observatory inside of these sites. The Jovian Observatory itself says, where is it? Wait, really? Yeah, unmoored. Unmoored in space-time, this observatory is emerged in the location from a limited duration. This space-time instability caused the drifter activity of this system may have inadvertently caused its emergence, or they may have deliberately pulled it to this location using the advanced hyperspace technologies. Whether it was deliberate or not, the drifters have moved quickly, deploying measures to secure its rare contents. How long has it been adrift is unknown, but scans indicate that it once contained valuable artifacts from a bygone era. Since its emergence, sleeper drones have already recovered many of those artifacts, okay? And if we go to... hold on. Here we go. So this is an old spreadsheet made by Airtaka, I'm pretty sure. Here are all of the gleaned reports that we've gotten from previous events of if you go to any Jovian observatory in the game, and there's no drifters there to kill you, you can use an Entosis link on them. And one of the things that you can get from doing an Entosis link is these gleaning notes, which is what told us what is going on with these drifter observatories in the first place, which is that they're monitoring things. So we see all these different reports about, updated Gallente status provides a model for social cohesion, suggests further observations are shared with modifier exclaves or enclaves. And then, so there's stuff about Asbel, which was one of the great scientists. So these are important moments in EVE history, but we can see that they're dated, right? So this is dated 23,121. And that's the earliest date out of all of these, which would put it in the year 2000. So just based on like the timeline of things, right? So this event occurred before EVE Online was even like created. And then later on, some of these say the proper date, the YC date, like YC104, YC105, YC106. The reason why this is important is because if we go back to these logs, the one thing that we can tell is that these logs are the oldest logs we have ever recovered from Jovian observatories. So it seems that these Jovian observatories are unmoored in space-time to the point where they're collecting information from all the way back from the Shrouded days. This is the very first record that we know of from the Shrouded days. That's a big fucking deal. That is the big promise of like the secrets that we've been trying to unwrap for over a decade now. So this is a huge promise about where we're going. And I was really excited about that, which is why I was really surprised and kind of super disheartened when everything just kind of fell apart and didn't go anywhere on Wednesday when the sites ended. But then the sites came back up, and then they patched it again. Not only did they patch in all of those changes that we talked about earlier with making the sites be more rewarding and make it so that progress is easier to do, or at least more consistent, they also... What? Wait, what? Oh, that's really cool. I'll get to that in a second. They added in 12 new spectral vision captures. Yeah, that's today's patch, I know. So 12 new spectral data labeled in Greek letters, so it's very similar to previous records of the drifters. Let's read these. This data capture, emitting faint traces of black body radiation, contains an image intercepted from an advanced virtuality. So step one, this is images from inside of a virtual reality construct. Probably the very ones that the drifters and sleepers live in. Curious capsuleers may learn more about its origin by decoding the data and overlaying or combining multiple captures. With the right approach, something may just click. Now, when they say with the right approach, something may just click, they're actually doing something pretty cool. They're basically saying if you right-click and decode them, they present you with a video or a movie or an image or something like that. So we have collected 3 of these so far. Now, like with the when we were doing the same thing and getting the map that leads to the Warden from a few months ago, in much the same way, it seems that CCP is staggering out the releases of these items because we've gotten multiple copies of each one of these, of the ones that we've gotten, but only 3 of them have shown up so far. So we don't know when the other 9 will show up. So we've only gotten 3 of the 12. Okay? That's important. Now then, let's look at the 3 that we got. No, that's Yosificata. But the Federation is essentially burning. Not yet. Not yet. Okay. So, alpha spectral image. Now, remember, in these images, these are pictures supposedly of a virtuality, and they're supposed to be, like, any given image should only be part of the image. In fact, it says specifically half. The scenarios it simulates are so detailed that only half of the image could be captured. So in theory, these things should pair up. But so far, none of the three seem to pair with each other. So I don't know whether or not these are supposed to layer with each other, or whether or not there's more coming that will match with these. Chances are the secret to understanding these are still in one of the other 9 that haven't shown up, but we can still get a lot of questions and interesting things from the ones that exist. So, and actually, hold on a second. Let me pop something open while I do this. Okay. So first and foremost, slice alpha. This is slice alpha. Okay. Hold on. Yeah. Here is slice beta. And here is slice epsilon. I think it's epsilon, right? Is the little Y symbol's epsilon, right? Somebody help me out. I don't know my Greek letters that well. Oh, never mind. It says gamma right there. Okay, gamma. Gamma. Yeah, gamma. I'm an idiot. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right. It's okay. We're doing it live. All right. So the one that is the most evocative, we're going to start with this picture here, because it's probably the easiest one for you guys to comprehend just by looking at it and not having anything pointed out. This appears to be 2 drifters at a Stargate, a Gallente regional Stargate. There's 2 drifters and a bunch of symbols and stuff, right? However, already things are being pointed out by a lot of people at the Arataka Research Consortium that are wrong with this picture. So a couple of things that are worth noting. This down here, if you go and look at any Gallente regional gate, in fact, hold on, let me pull up my pictures. This is a Gallente Stargate. This is a Gallente Stargate that leads to an Amarian system. Okay? Well, the reason why it's sideways... Hold on. First of all, the reason why it's sideways here is because the whole thing is sideways, right? So you got to tilt your head. You got to tilt your head because it's like that. You know, that direction is up and down. So here's the bottom of the Stargate. Up here would be the top of the Stargate. This is the side of the Stargate. We can see it here. See? Top of the Stargate, bottom of the Stargate. Now, this system... No problem. This Stargate is in a Gallente system, and it leads to an Amarian system. And we can tell that by the accoutrement that is on the side of it, okay? I can tell a lot of things. One, I can tell that this gate goes to Amar space because the top here says Amar, and see, we can see a banner here that's Amar, okay? We also see a bunch of the accoutrement around it where... Hold on. There are Stargate holograms to help you understand the actual Stargate. And the banners show you where it's going to lead. This shows banners at the bottom that show that the current system. Actually, this is going to be interesting. But the banners on the sides here show where it leads. But if you look on this Stargate, there is no banner at the bottom that tell you where it is, right? And likewise, if this symbol at the bottom shows what system it's in, not the destination system. The destination system's at the top and the banner's on the side. So for this to be true, for this picture to be correct, that means that this has to be, because this shows an Amarian symbol up here. What happened to the Deathless is locking down the gates and drifters appear in systems to shoot something or everything. Are we prepared for that? I don't think the Deathless has the capacity to lock down all the Stargates in New Eden, but we'll see. So if this banner is true, that means the destination system has to be Amar. And if this image is true, then that would mean that the current system is also Amar. And this banner literally shouldn't even be there, but let's assume that it should be there based on this picture. I haven't been able to find a single Gallente regional Stargate that has the banner at the bottom, but even if we assume that this banner is supposed to be there, that would imply that this is an Amarian system leading to another Amarian system using a Gallente regional Stargate. So far, no one has been able to properly identify which system this is in, okay? But there's even further problems. Wouldn't this picture be non-current? Maybe the SOV has changed since then? Well, I mean, SOV hasn't changed that much. You're right. No, this could be, like, the sovereignty hasn't changed since the drifters. We've had people looking all through Genesis. In fact, there's a reason why I pulled up this image, because I went around hunting myself for anywhere that would be close to the boundaries, and this is the closest I could find. What if it's an old image? What if it's an old image? That's a possibility, but here's a kicker, okay? Here's the thing about that. If this was an old image, these accoutrements wouldn't be there. These accoutrements were only added in like 2021 or something. So anything older than that wouldn't even have these banners at all. But it gets even more complicated than that. It gets even more complicated than that. Yes, it's already kind of confusing. But here's the real kicker. Check this thing out. This is the part that's got us, okay? 1.0, then this, then 0.9, then these things, and a triangle. Now, does this mean that it's lost a point of security? Or is this a 1.0 system leading to a 0.9 system? Because we can go here and see... well, actually, it doesn't even have it there. We can go to this image and see that this one goes, this symbol, which, if we look here, says that it means high traffic. So this symbol here doesn't mean a change in standings. It means low traffic. So this is suggesting that this image is saying 1.0, low traffic, 0.9. But if you look on this image, that's not even the order that it's in. Right? It goes, this goes number, low traffic, number, whatever the symbol is, triangle. But on the reality, it goes traffic, triangle, security, and then other flag. Like this is flagging that it's in faction warfare. Yeah, they could. You're right. No, everything that you guys are suggesting are possible solutions to the problem. However, I would like to push back and remind you guys that this image isn't real. Remember the very first thing we learned about these things. This data capture emitting faint traces of blackbody radiation contains an image intercepted from advanced virtuality. So no matter how far down we go down this rabbit trail, realize that this image is from a virtual reality construct, not the real world. So no, this isn't some real old picture, probably. This isn't some picture from space or whatever. This is from the virtuality. So the fact that there are errors like this, it's either, it could be predicting the future. It could just be mistakes or bad pieces, right? Like incorrect calculations or incorrect evaluations of, bad flaws in the simulation, right? These are the kind of details that them simulating, say, an attack plan might not matter, right? But it shows us something really, really important. Low traffic will match to Uli. Yeah, but these are not the Stargates in Uli. Furthermore, this symbol here with the downward pointing arrows, this one right here, I I swear to God, I've seen this image before. I have no idea where I've seen this piece before, or what it could mean. So we have a symbol that it isn't in the identification. We have a mix of orders, and we have two different security standings. The simulation having taken a wrong line compared to reality. Right. Could this be part of its simulation? Like, is it playing a war game, and this is part of the way through the war game? Or is this just not caring about the details when you form your simulation? The reason why this is important is because, isn't that just a travel warning? I don't know. Can you find it? Can you find it? Because, like, there are travel warnings, but none of these match. See, look, travel warning notice looks like that. Right? Which does look like a lot of triangles, but it certainly doesn't look like that. You see what I'm saying? But here's the thing that I need you to look at the top. What do you mean? I don't know what you mean by look at the top. But here's the important piece to this, okay? Here's the thing that I personally think is important, okay? Remember, just like this is a virtual reality construct, this image was made by CCP, okay? This is an important piece to remember. This is a puzzle, and CCP is the puzzle makers. It would be trivially easy. Oh. I don't know. It would be trivially easy for them to just spawn a couple of drifters on a Stargate and take a picture. And then they would be done. And they could do the modifications that they want to it. And then it would be a proper place that we would probably be able to identify eventually. Or whatever, right? This isn't like the Invasion trailer where it was totally fabricated video and they didn't even know what systems were going to come under attack yet. So they just used a Stargate that didn't really exist as a Stargate based on its position and its accoutrement and all that sort of stuff like that. This isn't that. They made this picture. And they made it the hard way. Right? Like if they had just done the easy thing of just spawning a couple of drifters and taking a picture, then it would look different than this. This is at least on some level intentional. They had to put in work to make it look like this. What am I speculating about the 5 circles? We'll get to that. The 5 circles are related to the fact that there's a symbol on the corner of each picture. I think that that's what's going to match up over time. Like these circles are going to match with, for instance, this compass rose or these arrows and circles. I line them up on the top of each other because you can also see here, like, here are a bunch of circles. This shows like almost like a constellation. So this seems to look like an attack plan. Wormholes attacking specific systems. This one looks like a compass rose. And this one looks like the 5 wormholes. Probably, you know what I think these are? I think that these are the 5 drifter wormholes. Right? There are 5 drifter wormholes. There are 5 of these. So I think that this is a reflection of the 5 drifter wormholes. This is a reflection. There have already been people trying to map this to a constellation in space that shows information. And I'm not 100% sure how this plays out. But remember, we don't have all the pieces yet. And so different pieces may layer on top of each other to make this into a thing. Okay. So, but this is just this picture. And once again, I wanted to show this to you guys first because it is kind of the simplest one to interpret. You can see that there's a Stargate. You can see that there's drifters, but it takes a little bit more attention to realize that there's some weird things going on with this picture. It's not just a picture of normal space doing normal things. Next. What if the drifters are creating a faction gates to connect to the gate network? Maybe, but they always use wormholes. Why would they need gates? So this picture is also a bit confusing to people. But, oh man, I don't think I can rotate it from here. Nope, it's not Joe Dixie. Hold on. We're going to watch some YouTube videos, guys. Yay! What is going on here?
Hundreds of worlds, billions of people. Our strength is our diversity. Our tolerance lends us unity. But cross us, and you will swiftly find the steel beneath the velvet. Above all,
I'm about to.
know this, my fellow citizens. Our Federation is the light of liberty, shining in the darkness.
Did you guys catch it? Did you catch it? Why is this being so weird
Our
with the
tolerance.
half? Why? What is with this half thing? This is so not great. Whatever. Hold on. No? No, you're just going to be a jerk about it? Okay. Well,
Lends us unity. Our people. Our strength.
there it is. Look at that right there. That symbols, those symbols. Now let's go look at the picture again. Now you got to turn your head sideways. But you can see there's the character symbols. There's the Gallente symbol. There's one of the buildings. There's a dome. And another dome. And another building. So we can see from here.
Hundreds of worlds, billions of people.
It looks like it's this area. It looks like it's
Our
this
strength is our
city.
diversity. Our tolerance lends us
right there. Look, there's the building with the Gallente symbol on it. There's the weird symbols off to the side. It's like it's a different angle. Or, oh, you can actually see it down at the bottom there a lot easier.
The steel.
So this appears to be a picture. Does Dodixie look like that? Yes. That's correct. Unfortunately, I'm like one of the few times I'm not at Dodixie. But, no, that's another video. Everything's just a thumbnail of YouTube videos. Come on now. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Dodixie's in the trailer. Is that Dodixie? No, that's not Dodixie at the beginning.
Of worlds, billions of people. Hundreds of worlds.
Hold on. Jesus. All right, hold on. How am I gonna... I'm gonna do this. Haha! Got it! I got it! I got it, guys! I figured it out. There we go. So this is what Dodixie looks like. You can see there's the opening right there. So there are the domes and stuff, especially this dome. But it's funny, Jeff, that you say that, because I've recently been in Eve Galaxy Conquest, and I was just this week raging about the fact that the Dodixie station in Eve Galaxy Conquest doesn't use the correct station for Dodixie. And the station that they use is the station in that video. So I knew for a fact that that was not the correct station, because I've been ranting about that earlier this week. But the point of the matter is that, like, this might be Gallente Prime. This might be a Gallente station. But the tower and the building, and more importantly and critically, these letters that are here that seem kind of confusing match the letters that are shown on the side of some of those buildings. So it looks like it's a picture that's from that video, right? Potentially. Why would Dodixie be a planet? the system planets aren't lore relevant. It's Kali, Gallente Prime, and Luminaire. That's true. There's more of a chance that this is a different building because Dodixie is only important to us. It's not necessarily important to the Gallente. The only other thing to point out in this is that there are these red triangles. There's a red triangle down here, and there's a red triangle down up there. And then there's these two things over here with blue circles around them. These look a little bit like drifter battleships, right? This triangle looks a lot like the triangles that they used to specify systems that were under attack from the Triglavian invasions during their, like, gates under attack scope video. But we also, if you look, there's this white beam that seems to be coming down and hitting this area with a bunch of white coming off of it. All right? So this is picture 2. Picture 3, I've saved the best for last, guys. We've debated a bunch of stuff. Here's picture 3. For picture 3, I'm going to go to Photoshop. So let's go ahead and... Let me set this up real quick. Come on. Oops. Come on. Stop. Oh, gosh. This one. Right? Oh my god. Hold on. We've talked about a lot of things and all right. Wizard, I'm just going to steal that picture that you sent or that you posted in there. It's just easier. Okay. Here we go. Here's the secret. See, you can see here, this text closely matches this text from this picture. And likewise, these 3 towers here seem to match with these 3 towers here. In fact, if we look, like there's a tower there. This is clearly the same amphitheater from the Minmatar trailer. And just for that, I got to show the Minmatar trailer because every single time the Minmatar trailer shows up, I need to show it off because holy shit, it's so good. So let's go ahead and... Why is my YouTube being so weird? Hold on.
Let me tell you who we are. We have a legacy. A legacy that shaped us. A legacy that we've built. We united on this mother world. We rose together as the 7 tribes. One people forging our future. They came to destroy it. They tried to break us, divide us, to scatter the tribes. But we fought back. We rose as brothers and sisters, seizing victory from the vile chains we broke. And today we stand. We stand as the 7 tribes of Matar. We stand as Minmatar.
Fuck, that trailer's good. Gah! All right. But we can see here this is this amphitheater, and so this is full of people and stuff, and this is the different tribes of the Minmatar's logo, right? Voting EP to counter. Okay. Whoa, this trailer is so good at getting people pumped up. Anywho, so if we look at this image, oh my god, if we look at this image, we can see that there are clearly the symbols and the towers of the Matari, and we see two triangles, and this time we see those beams of light hitting those triangles, and they are clearly hitting something and making like an explosion. So there is something going on. Remember, this is all in the virtuality. So it does seem like the drifters are wargaming something, but it's hard to say exactly what. So we need you guys to be out there continuing to look for more of these slices and bringing them to Arataka Research Consortium if you find one. But does this not match to the saying the trailer from the Amar taking the Empire is lying to... Wait, what? Not match to the saying in the trailer from the Amar talking that the Empire is lying to us. I don't know. This is not from the... Oh. Yeah. Well, I mean, the Empires do lie to us, but this is not from the Empires. This is from taking stuff from the these are coming directly out of Jovian structures. These fragments are gotten from doing the fishing. That's why I was doing the fishing yesterday. Spoiler. So, like, the major source of these fragments right now is doing the fishing sites. This, those triangles might be where the drifter weapons were targeting. It could be. It could also be Triglavian weapons. You never know. Right? That's one of the things I thought was interesting about the fact that, like, the other image, this one shows these which might be drifters with circles around them, as opposed to triangles, which are where the thing is hitting. So, can you get any fragments from the relic site? My understanding is yes. Yes, you can. They're pretty rare. You get the you get the fragmented gleaning stuff more often, but there has been somebody who's gotten slices from there. Now, there's one other thing that I want to talk about when it comes to these images. Now I've talked about all of the pieces that everyone else has been talking about, like Wizard Brandon, the wizard in chat right now. Shout out to him. He's been working a lot with the Arataka Research Consortium to make all this stuff make sense. But there's something I want to pay attention to because I'm a tinfoily kind of guy. And this is an ARG. Like, again, I can't stop. I need to remind you that, like, CCP is a video game company, and this is a challenge that they're presenting to us, what is happening right now, to understand what's going on. So rather than looking at the picture itself, I got really, really interested in this part. Because here you can see some very faint bars on both sides of the image. And you'd think to yourself, like, why has this image got such big gutters? And it's got these drifter icons on the side with these lines, and it looks like some faded images or whatever. Like, the gutter is what has interested me. If they start making boops, I'm going to lose my mind. So, what I did was... Hold on, let me pull up this. Window capture. I turned up the brightness, turned down the contrast, and then proceeded to take all three images and both sides of the gutters and flipped the left side to match the right side. And so what we've got is, here's none of them, okay? We've got a background of black, all right? So the Gallente ones, this seems oddly familiar to something that just happened in a different game. Oh, yeah? Oh, wizard. You should remember, like, so I got a little story about, like, one of these events where there is an image of a drifter hive, and we spent 2 days in the Tweet Fleet Slack trying to pin down exactly what system the drifter hive was supposedly in, by matching the stars in the sky. And we succeeded, by the way. We succeeded in finding the exact system that the image was taken in and proving that there was not a drifter hive there. So, you know, whatever. Okay, so here are the Gallente ones. The Gallente right, Gallente left. So we can already see that I can make these, like I can show you each of them in between. And while they do brighten up, they basically line up with each other, right? I can actually go here and like take this one or two knot. You can already start to see, like, this is what it looks like if it's random, right? They don't match up. But if I line up the two drifter logos at the top, everything else lines up. Okay? Likewise, the Minmatar ones also line up. And the drifter ones also line up. Now, what's weird is, the only thing that I find weird so far is that all of this lines up. And in fact, if I do all of them, we start to see a pretty clear picture of what's going on, including this weird set of circles, which are very driftery, or, you know, Jovian, at the top here. I did them in different colors, so that way when we zoom in, you can see little reds. Like, that's the only parts of it. The red parts and the green parts, those are the parts that aren't part of the drifter stuff. So, right, like I can close that off and you can see that. And then I can turn those off and you can see that. So the drifter image, which was the two drifters on the gate, is by far kind of the most complete one, it would seem. But what's weird is that even though they all line up, like this, clearly this ring is part of it, right? Like you can, oops. Like you can see, like this ring is in the same spot regardless. But if I scroll down, these are not lined up. They're more lined up than they were. Hold on. Right. So those are a little bit lined up. Yeah, there it is. The Gallente one is actually dramatically different position than the other ones, but everything else seems to match. I don't know if this means anything. I don't know if any of this means anything. I don't, like when I see these things, these patterns, the 2 1 2 1 2 1, I'm thinking something like a barcode or something. But this is, you know, it might not be. Make sure you're matching L to R and R. Well, the point is that the L and the R matches, so I can do, like, here's Minmatar left to Gallente left, and everything besides that bit lines up. Minmatar right and Minmatar left, that's how much Minmatar left and Minmatar right line up. Oh wait, hold on. This is how much Minmatar left and Minmatar right line up. This is how much Drifter left and Drifter right line up. So it seems like the left and the right fold onto each other. It looks like an audio recording. Yeah, exactly. This just screams at me. If they do an AR, if you're doing an ARG and there's something this faded in the background, it tells me that there might be something more here. Well, if anybody has the capacity, this is my shitty photoshopping skills over the course of a couple hours trying to make this look right. But if anybody else wants to help out, please go ahead and head over to the Air Talker Research Consortium's Discord or hit me up in Discord and like, let's start figuring this stuff out, because I think that there's more to it than this. If anything, this circle, this like image showing itself in the corner seems to suggest that there's something here, right? So that's what I got when it comes to these images. And this is just 3 out of the 12 images that are there. I made some audio things in the past. It's just white noise. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. I just know that this is what I've noticed. Okay? Now then. Let's see. Anything else to talk about when it comes to this? I'm going to do the reading of the New Eden News also that came out yesterday or around the time that this stuff was happening. But I'll probably do that at the end, so that way it's easier to cut out. Even if it is just noise, the cut out parts would have an impact. Yeah, I think that, like I said, I want to believe that there's something there, but it's hard to say, especially, like, I can't point to something in the history of CCP's way of doing things that says for sure that it is. But it is something, like, I'm not crazy. That looks interesting, right? Ah, yes. If you guys are interested in helping advancing the plot, here's another piece to it. If we go back to HoboLeaks, and we go back to when this stuff was first added. Hold on, let me put dark mode back on so that way it doesn't look like terrible. So this is when all of the Drifter stuff was added for the event, right? One of the rewards that was added is a thing called Tecton Forked Packet, right? This data packet is all that was recovered from the copy of the Tecton Drifter Mind. While clearly synthetic rather than organic in origin, this data packet shows evidence of layered redundancy associated with a mind that has evolved or emerged from a simpler set of constructs. So what's interesting about this is that so far, I don't think anybody's found this in any of the sites that we've done. It could theoretically be part of the final site that we haven't seen before, but I think that, you know, chances are, if we go and look at, where is it? There already is a reward that looks like it is associated with the Dreamer. Right? Am I dumb? I might be dumb. Huh. Okay, never mind. I'm wrong. That could be very well a reward from killing the Dreamer. The Vigilant Dreamer through this gate has already been destroyed. It is done. Altered shielded array. Yeah. All right. Either way, the point is that Tecton is the name of the Drifter architect that was part of the previous Drifter attacks on the Warden or on Zarzak, and has been showing up in the Drifter hives starting the last, like, a month or two ago, and drops the incomplete Warden projections. So we're going to be going into we're going to go into the Drifter hives this weekend to see whether or not we, there's anything new and different and special. If you want to contribute, please go ahead and hit up Dutch Gunner or myself. Go to the Arataka Research Consortium Discord or Consortium Operations in game and get involved. It's a good time for everybody. But yeah, so there is definitely more to this mystery than we figured out so far. I think he's guarding the Dreamer since his ID is right next to the breaking point parameters. They didn't add a new Tecton though. Like, they might use the old Tecton and he might be in the site. But remember, that Tecton has a Doomsday weapon. The Tecton in the Tecton we've seen so far has a Doomsday weapon, which would be pretty wild for them to put in a site that's supposed to be done by 10 people with little warning or preparation. So we'll have to see. So either way, this Saturday we're going to be going into Drifter hives again, led by Dutch Gunner. Get involved. It's a good time had by all. 10 people going. Hey, we're actually really good at. Dutch has gotten really good at dodging Drifter Doomsdays. I actually made a skin for him I've been working on some new skins. So on Tuesday, I got so brokenhearted about what was happening with the drifters that I decided to console myself by spending a bunch of ISK. So, I kind of went to Jita, and I kind of bought every single design element, unlimited design element that existed in Jita that I could buy no matter the price. So I now have all of the unlockable stuff. I mean, there was a few that weren't for sale, but if it was for sale on Jita, I now have it unlocked. So I'm here to make some skins for you guys. I did want to show off some of the skins I've been working on. I got this one, which is the my skin for the Magus. I thought it looked pretty cool. And then I've also been working on a series for the different Abyss ships that I recommend and play with. So here is the Dark Cerberus skin. There's a Triglavian lure item added. I don't know what you mean by that. Oh, are you talking about the message in a bottle? Oh yeah, let's go. We can talk about that too. I made this for Spoons because he loves to fly the Atron for the Gallente. So we're working on this Atron for him. I also got the Electrical Stormbringer and the Firestorm Ikitursa. And I worked on this for Dutch. I don't know if he's going to want it or not, but I got this one for him because he's always flying a Guardian, and there's the hole in the side of the ship for the one time that he got hit by the Doomsday. Yeah. So I am interested in making skins for people. If you're interested in getting one, hit me up. But where were we? Oh yeah, the Triglavian lure item. One of the items that was added. Do you think that they'll announce the Vanguard beta at FanFest? They have been super quiet about Vanguard the last couple of months. I can't imagine... Like, I think at this point, you kind of have to get ready to go to a beta, right? I mean, like, they might still... Like, it is engaging with the game. I would not be surprised if they announced, like, the next stage for Vanguard, almost certainly. But not enough to, like, put money on it. Yeah, just hit me up in-game and I can help you make a skin. Okay, so... You're talking about... Somebody mentioned the message in a bottle. There it is. So there's this one. A bloodstained message transcribed in Triglavian script has been lodged in the inside of this beverage vessel in a desperate attempt to keep it safe. So remember, this comes from the fishing event, so it's a message in a bottle. And it reads, flow has been interrupted. Domain is advanced time unfit. We face extirpation. If our domovoy is returned, glorify it within the flow. This is very interesting. Because we know, no problem. We know, like, that the Drifters and the Triglavians have been fighting significantly in the Abyss. So, and these reports, the things that we're pulling out of the fishing holes are supposedly from those fights with the Drifters in the Abyss. So this is an interesting one because it's the first sign that there's something going horribly wrong for the Triglavians. They're saying that the flow has been interrupted. The domain is advanced time unfit. Now, domain is in capital letters. So it makes me believe that they might be referring to the domain of Bouillon, which is their secret world that we've never yet seen or anything like that. But this is saying that in the future, soon, the domain will be unfit, and they face extirpation. But then they say, if our Domovoy is returned, glorify it within the flow. I get sick in the homeworld. Gets jumped? What? I don't know what you mean by the homeworld gets jumped. So, what stands out to me so weird about this one is the use of the word Domovoy. Now, Lorelai, and I. Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that the pictures that we saw shows what looks like Gallente Prime and Minmatar homeworld of Matar coming under attack. Please don't forget. I'm looking at the Triglavian message in a bottle. That's what we're working on. Okay, so what stands out to me on this is this use of the word Domovoy. It's very weird to me because a Domovoy is a thing. In Slavic mythology, a Domovoy is a spirit of the household. And if we look, some of the ways of pronouncing it is Domowick and Domovik, right? And Damovic. So the thing is that the Triglavians use Slavic mythology and Slavic words in their information, but sometimes it's corrupted, or it's at least a mutation of the original form, right? This happens a lot in Eve stuff, where it's like similar to basic words, but you can see like they've evolved over time, right? Well, the thing that stands out to me is that like the Damovic is a thing. It's the frigate, but more importantly, if we go and look at it if we look at the Damovic's description, it says, Damovic subclade of Perunclade, revised adaptation schema for clade ship of the 3 tactical trait classification has been accepted for imprinting in advancing time generations after cladistic glorification over Samovda subclade. Tactical role dispersal is the gift of the strategic troika. So, Damovic is the name of a subclade. The main clades are named after the gods of Triglav. The subclades are named after lesser things, and those are the names that are ascribed to the various ships that are associated with it. So Damovic is already a thing, and Damovic is a derivative of the word Domovoy, according to that Wikipedia article, right? So my question is, if Damovics are already a thing, why is Domovoy being referred to properly by its original word in this text? Now, this could be a mistake. It could be something else. I'm not sure. I think that this is kind of interesting, though, because it's like they didn't say if our Domovic is returned, glorify it within the flow. So I don't know. I don't know if this means a Damovic or if it means a different thing, right? But the other thing that's worth noting is that one of the sites, what does it mean for a Domovoy to return? And why would it be glorified into the flow? The only thing that can make me think about is the fact that there is the 3-man home fronts that were added in with Equinox, which includes the stabilizing of the rift. So there's a rift, and there's these sleeper devices outside of it that's trying to destabilize the rift. And you're supposed to go in there, you're supposed to nude out all of the different sleeper devices so that way the rift can stabilize. And when the rift stabilizes, what comes through? But a Leshak and some and a Triglavian hauler that's named an ambassador. So it seems like the Triglavians have been reaching out to the empires secretly since Equinox, And so I wonder if that's what they mean here, is that this is supposed to be their envoy that is returned. But this is our first clue that there's something going terribly, terribly wrong. That the drifters are actually making progress in the abyss. And that is part of the reason why it's now spilling out into the real world. Okay? But other than that, I'm not sure where this is going, guys. That's just my theory. If anybody has a different theory, please let me know. Considering they like to name their artificial intelligence Nafka and Villa Rodra. We don't actually know if the Nafka is an AI, though. And Damavik, Kikimora, and Vedmak, I think, are all spirits too. Like Slavic spirits. Leshak is the name, I think, of a city, if I remember correctly. Which makes sense because it's the biggest one of them. Leshak is a spirit? I thought it was... Okay, hold on. Nope, it's a town or settlement. Right? It's a village. It's a Dota hero? Well, it's a village. Like when I look up Leshak, this is all I pull up. Well, I mean, besides... So, Leshy. Leshy is a spirit. Leshy is a spirit. Leshak is a city. They're probably... Yeah. Oh, okay. Hold on. Here we go. Names and etymology. Leshy is known by a variety of names and spelling, including Leshak. Done. Got it. So the city is named after the spirit. That's easy. You see how hard this shit is to follow? All right. Let's see. So, we went over the images. We went over the bottle. We went over the fishing a little bit. We went over... Is there anything else we got to talk about when it comes to this? Let's do a site. Let's try to do a site. How about that? We're going to do the hacking site again. Now, so I did yesterday go and do the whole thing, turning off all of the weapon systems and all of the stuff. But in the end, it was kind of a waste of time. So we're just going to do it the normal way. Here we go. What's happening? Here we go. The weapons are easy hacks, so it's safer to turn them off than to just hack the loot. But it makes the site take twice as long for the same loot. Yeah, I mean, like, hacking... Velen, by the way, was the other guy that was doing a lot of the hacking sites yesterday. And so... He gave me a lot of good information, and I really, really appreciate it. Shout out to Velen. Did you talk about what the 5 circles in the Gallente gate image potentially means? I think that in that case, I think that those 5 gates, the 5 circles are the 5 drifter holes. The 5 drifter wormholes. But I also don't think that we're going to get a full idea of what they are until we get more of the slices. Because I figure it looks a lot like those things are supposed to layer on top of each other to give us some more information. The lines might represent the urchin, but remember, I'm not 100% sure that the urchin ever officially existed. It might have always been like a bug that they didn't mean it to be in that shape and configuration, and then they changed it. So I've never, like, it'd be an interesting confirmation about the urchin if that's the case, but I don't think it's quite that complicated. What happens if you take the lines along the side and you map it to a circle? I wonder if that would do anything. All right. So I got the site scanned down, pulling in my probes. We're going to head to the site. Now, now the site, the pentagram one. Which one's the pentagram one? The Minmatar one? Hold on. Which one is the pentagram one? So we have the Drifter one. We have the Gallente one. And we have the Minmatar one. I've referred earlier, I think my guess, if I just had to guess, this is the 5 Drifter wormholes. This is an attack plan. You can see there's the wormholes and what wormholes lead to which systems. Leading in and out of this little constellation of 4 systems. And this is a compass rose. Why do these things exist? I don't know yet. Maybe they'll layer together, but so far we've only gotten 3 out of 12 of the pieces. Okay, so now that I'm here, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do D-scan. Because if I see probe or warp disruption probes, I know that this site is already triggered and hostile to me. Now, while I'm inside, I'm also going to have to keep D-scanning to make sure that nobody comes in and triggers it for me. But I'm going to head in. All right, so here's the site. Yeah, the Minmatar being like a barbed wire chain, I feel is relevant. I just don't know why yet. Okay, so you can see that there's a bunch of these cans, the Drifter collections. That's where the rewards are. The patient eradicators, if the site goes on lockdown, they'll start attacking me. If I hack them, I'll shut them off, so they won't attack me even if it goes into lockdown. The patient jailers will put up bubbles in the event of a lockdown. Now, I will say this. Every single time I've warped out of this site, I've managed to successfully warp out, even though the bubbles have already popped, including one time where I warped straight through the bubble. So if you, as soon as you see those bubbles go up, start to warp, you should still be able to get out in time. I'm 2 for 2 so far. When I've hesitated for a second, then they kill me before I can get off. But I got out in low hull when I made a mistake yesterday. And then the steadfast martyrs are like little time bombs. These ones, see this thing here with a bunch of stuff coming out of it, the lines coming out of it? This is the landmine. If you get within range of it, it blows up, right? And then there is also the steadfast witness. These, if you hit them, will trigger the alarm, okay? So the best thing to do is you can look and you can see, especially out of the steadfast witnesses, you'll see this radius come out of it. And when it completes, it becomes a sphere. And that sphere tells you the actual radius of the witness. Here we go, right there. So now I can see where the witness can see and where it cannot. So I can line up, be like, okay, well, this container, as you can see, is within, is closer to me than they monitor. So I could theoretically go after that one, assuming that none of these other pieces get in the way. One of the things that's worth noting is if you look at it from on top, most of the guards are around the structure. So once you get inside of the perimeter, you can kind of move around a little bit more freely, but you still gotta pay pretty close attention. If you just charge in there, there's a pretty good chance that you'll just trigger something. But I'm gonna go, and I think this one's gonna be the first one I can head towards. Oh, that's on the other side. This one might be the first one to head towards. I need to watch out for that bubble over there. And that bubble right there. This one right here. This is a turret, so I don't need to necessarily worry about it yet. But now that I saw that bubble right there, I can kind of rely on the fact that it's not going to get me if I go through. Every single time I try to hit my afterburner because or my micro warp drive because I'm impatient, every single time I manage to trip off the wire. So we're just going to scoot on through. So now I can see that, I have a clear path to get to this Drifter collection. So I'm going to head there. And I will pulse the micro warp drive once. Oh! Okay. We're still fine. We're still good. Barely, but good. That's why I don't want a micro warp drive. Okay. Now, the big kicker here is that also failing any of these hacks means that the entire site becomes hostile to you. So I strongly recommend using a T2 hacker. Or at the very least, if you're going to fail, don't fail. Just warp off. Realize that the entire site is about to become hostile. So if you do fail a hack, just rather than actually fail the hack, just warp off. Oh, this is a rule of 6. So we can come in here. There we go. And get the loot. So this is 2 million for this one site. For this one can. That's pretty good. For high sec. Now we're going to head down here. It's very important to keep an eye on your line of sight versus the balls. Because you don't want to get detected, obviously. So these two things are towers. They don't detect, so that's fine. This one's clear. Now, one thing Velen pointed out was that the cans basically never move, but the exact location of the defenses usually does. So once you get the hang of it, you should be able to identify where you should be able to identify the best route to get through things, but it's not like you can just memorize it and do the same thing every single time. You have to adapt at least a little bit. So that's the next can I'm going to go for. And as I'm traveling, I'm going to make sure that neither of these bubbles that are here hits it. It doesn't look like... It looks like I've got a straight shot. Once again, remember, I'm paying attention to my D-scan. This is why I love this site, because it's just a little bit more complicated than a normal site. I could fuck something up and it could kill me, or if a player decides to come in, it's high sec, so I can't just get ganked by another player, but they could come in and disrupt it if they wanted to. So I've got to be paying attention to make sure no one's coming in to mess with me, and I've got to be paying attention to being very careful as I dismantle the defenses and secure the loot. And this is a really fun exploration site to me. I really dig it. It got my blood pumping all last night. I'll never understand why CCP removed rats from salvage data sites at the same time that they added SSC ship line. It is kind of weird that they did both at the same time, huh? Like, I understand, honestly, having done it back in the day, it was kind of a pain to be like, oh yeah, I can't do this. I have an exploration ship, but I can't do this site because I need to have like a recon ship to be capable of fighting it. Also, the first T3 cruiser I ever had was because in an exploration site, I lost my pilgrim, and I was like, well, fuck this, and I upgraded. So this witness is on the back side of this can. So this should be a clean shot. One pulse of the micro warp drive. At 10 kilometers, I'm going to try to stop. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't do what I... Please don't. I just need to not use the micro warp drive. Alright, so... So far, so good. By the way, I'm holding Alt and bounding box around things in order to look at them. That's how I'm doing that so quickly. Because you can use any of your major hotkeys with a bounding box in order to use that hotkey on something. Boom. Rule of 6. Got it. Go after this one. I don't know if I agree that just having rats made things more interesting. I like this kind of thing where it's a piloting challenge. Do you see how much manual piloting I'm having to do? It's not just about rats and being able to tank the rats and have the DPS for the rats. It's about being able to solve the puzzle. Thread the needle. I feel like that's a lot more closer to what, like, good exploration is all about. Like, I am in this place and it's intensely dangerous. And so I'm just picking through it and trying to pull out the pieces that I want. This feels very much relic-y exploration, far more than anything else I've dealt with in a long time, outside of like the sleeper caches. But as far as like an event goes, you know how like short-term hacking sites that make it better in high-sec, like that's good and all, but I think this is the right way to do it, is what I'm saying. Like it's a cool little puzzle. Because it's not going to last forever. Okay, so I got to go up a little bit and over to not get caught by that bubble right there. But then I got to make my way over here. Oh, that thing's so close to the other bubble. Sleeper caches in these sites are definitely interesting, same as the Concord hacking site, but rats are still more engaging than nothing at all. I mean, yeah, you're right. I remember like not being able to do the exploration component of it because it was just another combat site. Why am I not... Wait, hold on. Why am I not turning? There we go. Wait, why am I going that way? Wait. Okay, now am I turning? I'm going straight to that warden. The fuck is happening? Hold on. What is happening? Approach the collection. That is not the direction of the collection. What is... You click? Let's just try to go like the opposite direction. Okay, that worked. And it's still going like further to the side than I wanted it. Oh, I bet you it's like bouncing off of the geometry. Yeah, okay. I'm bouncing off the geometry, that's why. Well, that makes it more challenging. Yep. Okay. So I need to go this way. Now I should have a straight shot to it. I still don't know what you're supposed to do with the Watchful Authority. Because, like, the Watchful Authority says that you can hack it to turn off the thing, but to get close enough to hack it, you got to trigger the response. I guess if you come in with cruisers, you might be able to do it. Or if you turn off all the guns, but even then, like, they can warp in the rats. Although I guess they added in the new spawner for the rats. This site doesn't seem to have one of the spawners for the rats, so maybe rats won't come in. I'm not 100% sure about that yet. I didn't know that there was rats in these sites at first. I thought there wasn't, but I got killed too fast. What are we doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop it. Stop moving. Stop fucking moving! Oh god, warp, warp, warp! And we're out. Now, that's the thing. Just hack the beacon when it deploys and it'll keep the rats from coming to the site? Okay, well that's a lot to ask. So now I just felt like, even if I had finished that last hack, I would have gotten paid out for the site. But I panicked it for a second, and one mistake can cause it to all go wrong. Which, again, is one of the things I really like about this site, right? So you can see... Oh, here we go. So this 4 million ISK reward, this 4 million ISK reward is the one that I got for hacking the site. Oh, I have to trip the lockdown before it deploys. But then I've got the rats killing me. How can I hack the thing? How can I hack the thing if I have rats killing me? Either way, the only difference is that there was one more can and I would have gotten 4 million ISK if I had finished that one can. So, there you go. It's a lot more exciting than it was before, and I had 40 million ISK last time. Let's look at what I got now. Now I've got 62 million, so that was another 22 million. That wasn't as good as before, but still pretty cool. I've been having a lot more fun with it. If you guys are interested in participating, we'll be having fleets coming out whenever. Basically, if just come to the Discord, and if we can, we'll throw together a fleet and go out there and do stuff, especially the deathless sites. Yeah. I think the point of the authority was to make the site completable because its launch site would have never despawned until someone finished it. Maybe. Like I said, I think that there might be a way to run the site using cruisers, because it does allow cruisers, standard cruisers in there. So given the fact that you can attack the towers and stuff, I feel like there's some sort of like weird like plan that they had where we can dismantle the defenses. Could this be an image of the sleepers preparing for a change in relations between the empires? I think that it could very well be that they're simulating various different like scenarios within the virtuality. Yeah, you can put a hacker on the cruiser, but there are no cruisers that you can bring into these sites that have a hacking bonus, right? So like this has a +5 bonus to virus strength, which may be easier to hack. So if you aren't going to if you are going to come in with cruisers and go like war mode, there's a higher chance of you failing the hacks if you try to do it with that. But it might not matter if you can just survive the lockdown. But also, now that I've done the lockdown, hold on, let's go back to that site. Because now that I've triggered the lockdown, it should tell me that it is locked down and that in 30 minutes, it should stop being locked down. Let's go see whether or not it gives me a new message. It didn't give me a new message. Oh well. But you can see that there's warp disruption probes out now. So if I went in there, it would be problematic for me. Let's drop off some stuff and then make something a problematic thing for me. Let's try to get in and see whether or not I can get away before they start killing me. I think you're about to watch me get blown up, guys. Do I have anything expensive in my head? They said they're not going to pod anymore, but I just want to double check. I don't have anything nice in my head. Got it. Let me drop off all this stuff. Rigs for that? Rigs for what? Oh, the hacking? No. You cannot increase the virus strength through rigs. Virus strength is like the most powerful thing in the game. You could do it with an implant, though. Tells you if he's under lockdown in the objective panel on the left side of the screen. Got it. Crisis Observatory infiltration. It says warping. And then when I land, it says lockdown active. Okay, so this tells me that it's in lockdown. Also, directional scanning and seeing the probes tells me that it's in lockdown. We're going to go in, and I'm going to just try to warp off. We're just going to land and try to warp off and see whether or not I die before I can warp off. Okay, so I land. I see the bubbles. There's a bubble towards the sun, so we're going to warp in this direction. There are no rats here. Right now. There are no rats at all. There are 0 rats. Oh. Well, that was easy. Didn't even lock me. We're fine. That's correct. So what that means is that you can go in and hack all of the guns and turn off the lockdown, and then you're pretty much safe. The rats don't always spawn. There's a 1 in 5 modifiers. Yeah, exactly. That was something in the patch notes that I thought stood out, which it says that if it has the rats modifier. So there's the base site, and then there's 5 different modifiers that change the site. You want to go into what other kind of modifiers might be there if it's not rats? All right, ready to watch me get killed? So this time I'm going to try to burn off to see whether or not I can get out of the range of the turrets before they can do anything to me. Yeah. That wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. That's 2 shots. Are they still going to hit me? 3 shots. They might, you know? Oh, they're missing me. I might have done it, guys. Oh, they hit. That's a glance, though. That's a glance. That's not a glance. Actually, that is a grace. 2 of them hit me. Cool. Can I outrange him? Misses me completely. I might be outranging him. Guys, we might be okay. We might be okay. Aha! We did it! You should be using a cruiser if you plan on tripping a lockdown. Yeah, that's probably good advice. So yeah, you can also outrange them if you need to. So I could theoretically sit here for the next half an hour and wait to see the lockdown go off, right? There are faster lockdowns, exploding cans on failure. Cans can't be cargo scanned as some of the other ones. Oh. How do you know if the... Wait. How do you know if the cannon's going to explode? Is there an indicator? Or is it just like, oops, I guess I'm dead now? That's kind of cool. Dude, my feedback is, as an explorer, as a person who's done more exploration than almost anything besides faction warfare in this game, I love this site so much. This site is the low-key best thing about this event so far. It's just the right amount of little puzzle to get to be something to chew on. And I honestly really like the fact that there's not enough information. Did it just get tripped again? Oh no. This says I've got 20 minutes before the lockdown is over. In order to prevent the rats from coming, you want to disable the beacon quickly. Only if it's there. Apparently it doesn't have to be there. What does a faster lockdown mean? Seems like it locked down pretty quick. Yes, I am working my way back to the backside. Possibly it's locked in target. I probably encountered those already. Pretty sure I did. Oh, so it could just be a shorter lockdown. It might not be 30 minutes. It might only be 3 minutes. Well, that's kind of good. I should have checked when it started missing me. These just sure are chaotic pranksters, yeah. Oh, I get it. I bet you that's just the warp disruption bubble. That's the warp disruption bubbles expiring and then putting up new ones, I'm assuming. Because it's like every 3 minutes, right? I guess that makes sense. So a 3-minute lockdown would be 1 wave of bubbles, and a 30-minute lockdown would be 10 waves of bubbles, right? Head down. You almost done? Well, I would like to be almost done. Why? Okay, I will. I probably will. There has been some interesting stuff going on in Eve Frontiers too, but it's all redacted, so I can't tell you about it. It has been interesting, though. Ooh, ooh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Oh, God, I got too close. 150's too close. 150's too close. If only this was Eve Frontiers and I could, like, hide behind this giant rock. Nah, I was wrong. It's not every 30 minutes. I don't know. But this is what's going on with the Drifter crisis right now, guys. The Drifter crises are ongoing. There is another 12 that got lit up. So, oh, now, wait, hold on. There's 20? Is there 20 or is there 12? I don't actually know how many there are at the moment. But these are cool opportunities to do fleets. They're not exactly the same as home fronts. A lot of people have just been calling them mimics of the home fronts. But they're like, home front sites are very much surrounding around a specific gimmick. This definitely has a lot more of a balance because the sleepers are enough of a threat that you have to deal with them directly through combat, whereas a lot of the home fronts, you just kind of ignore the rats while you do the gimmick. So these are pretty cool. We're going to continue to be doing it while they're going on. So I went to go do my editing for the weapons systems video. And you know what? The weapons system video is over 2 hours long, unedited. It's going to get a little bit shorter edited, but like way not the strategy I was going to have. And it was a bit disjointed. I wish I would have planned it a little bit better than I did. And I even missed a couple of pieces like T2 ammo and whatnot. So one of the things I've realized from all of this is that video, I don't think is going to hit what I wanted it to do when it came to these tutorials that I'm making this year. So the plan is that starting either tomorrow or next week, I've got 2 major videos that I want to work on. But we're going to split the weapons video into 2 different videos. We're going to do a turret video, and then we're going to make a missile video. So that way we can really focus on each of those mechanics and talk about how they are. And then I also want to make a video. Ow. I also want to make a video that is, we need to finally make that video about how to, like, the master guide on Eve Galaxy Conquest. Because Eve Galaxy Conquest has been a shit ton of fun this season. And I've got a lot to talk about. But I think it's time for us to, like, have a big old breakdown of what Eve Galaxy Conquest is, so that way more people can get involved and have a good time with it. Drifter's going to blow up Eve and make everything into a new blockchain game? Okay. All I'm going to say about it right now is that the best quote that I've seen so far about it is, To call Eve Frontiers a blockchain game is like calling Eve Online a database game. We've had plenty of videos. We did several videos where we went all over the white papers and everything like that. This is not an opportunity to sell you NFTs or some sort of crazy stuff about like the blockchain stuff that you've seen in other sort of cases. This is not about NFTs. This is about how we maintain data structures. And their goal is to make a system that is independent of even them. That the blockchain allows there to be a database decoupled from CCP itself, allowing there to be a fully autonomous universe. That's the whole point. But no, it's not NFTs. I get that people are just teasing, but man, there's so much bad information out there. Well, we were able to, so I did make a couple of videos a couple of weeks ago where we went over the white paper. And the white paper does have a lot of really good information about the game and how it works and how it's supposed to work. I can't necessarily talk to you about how much of it is implemented yet or whatever, because that's the part that's under NDA. But the white paper is actually like, it shows the promise of what it is that they're working on. Is that the database of Eve is on the back end. The blockchain is the foundation of Frontier's economy, though. Incorrect. The blockchain is not the foundation of okay. Think about it this way. So the way I'd like to think about it is it's closer to like modding in WoW, right? In WoW, they allow mods, but you have to follow the rules. There's like a rule of what those mods are allowed to be, right? What code that you're allowed to run, what those codes functions are allowed to be. But once you've built it, or once you have the mod, yes, Frontier is totally playable. Once you've built the mod, you can have it in your game. And so rather than individually dealing with every single UI element, they allow people to make mods, so now people can mod their game. Now, rather than modding your own client, Eve Frontier allows you to mod the universe itself. The blockchain exists as a public database of what exists in Eve Frontiers. When you add something to that blockchain, you're not asking CCP for permission. You're just adding it to the blockchain. But Eve Frontiers itself works with that data on the blockchain to realize it in the universe, right? So if I create a smart gate in Eve Frontiers and I define it, I can either use a ready-made one, something that somebody else has already defined, including CCP, as being a Stargate, and I can deploy it, or I can make my own custom script that controls how that Stargate functions, who's allowed to use it, how, you know, what it takes to activate it, etc., etc. And I can put that on the blockchain. By me putting it on the blockchain, I have contributed to the overall rules that makes Frontier work. So I'm building these pieces, right? I have added a piece to it. And so now that Stargate, or the rules for that Stargate is in the blockchain. And then somebody else can take those rules and instantiate it into the universe and register it onto the blockchain. And now it's a thing that exists in the universe. Not because it's in a CCP database, but because it's on the blockchain. And it follows the rules for how things are supposed to be formatted to make it work. And therefore it is considered valid and is part of the universe. Not because CCP put it there, but because some player put it there. Yes, that's the plan. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not just a theory. It's not just a theory. They've even publicly shown now, and that's nice, that there are tools that right now you can go, there are websites that you can go to see every single jump bridge connection in all of Eve Frontiers. It can help you map out connections, public jump gates, because every single jump gate that's in Eve Frontiers is assigned on the public ledger. So they don't even need to maintain an API. It's just data that's out there. And the cool thing about this is the whole goal of this is that in the end, CCP could theoretically shut off. CCP could evaporate as a company, right? And as long as they've accomplished their goals, if the client is open sourced and the data is on the blockchain, then the game could theoretically, all you just have to do is download the client open source, hook it up to it, and run the fucking client, and it should work. Now, granted, that isn't necessarily the way it is now. There's a lot of standard gaps in order to make it work, but that's the vision. That's why it's a blockchain. Not because it's an NFT, not because it's a gimmick or whatever, but because that's the way to have a publicly authoritative database. So would the servers exist on the blockchain? No, but the capacity to run the servers would be public. Like the data, like what is a server? If the entire state of the universe is held on the blockchain, then there is no server. Obviously, that is like very pie in the sky. Chances are there is going to be an intermediary step always in between. But like the point of this is to take CCP from being the gods of the facility to being just the people who happen to have made the rules. All a blockchain is public data. They're using that public data as a backend for a universe. It is, yeah, it's a very interesting experiment. I have no idea whether or not it'll work. I'm not saying it will or won't. I'm just saying, like, and this is part of why I hate the NDA and why I've ranted about it before, is because I want to be able to tell people more about it. I want to be able to assure it to people, because there's plenty of people that are willing to talk out their ass and make shit up about it. But, yeah. We got 5 minutes left. Yeah, I agree, Wesley. It's kind of, it is what it is. I understand. There's a lot of money involved. Yes, Velen. It's very similar to like how whenever anybody sees like a mobile game, everybody's like, oh my God, this is going to be terrible. Like, you know, whatever. Just because something is a mobile game doesn't mean it has to fall into all of the traps of mobile games do. Now, granted, a lot of them do. Might be a bad example, but like, there's nothing inherent about it being a mobile game that makes it have the predatory practices that mobile games tend to have. But whenever we hear those words, we associate it with specific things, right or wrong, right? Blockchain is a technology looking for a justification. And in the past, people have justified it by making little tokens that they can pretend are special. The game itself is able to use that for a totally different purpose. You've been mobile gaming since the 90s with a Game Boy? Exactly. Exactly. See? Sudoku is a great, well, except for the microtransactions of having to continue to buy new Sudoku games, right? If you pay the subscription fee for the local newspaper, then they offer you a certain number of Sudokus per day for free, or not for free, but like as part of your allotment. But if you want more Sudoku after that, you've got to buy yourself a book. I ain't gonna lie, guys. I've had to pee really badly this entire lockdown, so this has been a journey for both of us. Not built around the blockchain as their tool for third-party hobby devs to come in and program in-game smart assemblies. I mean, again, like I do I think that they've got some pretty lofty goals? Absolutely. But it's also pretty cool. And yeah, it's absolutely playable. There should be a link in the description to get you into Frontiers. Obviously, you still have to pay for it or whatever, but like, use my buddy code. I'd appreciate it. And of course, like I said, Eve Galaxy Conquest has been fantastic this season. It's been a lot of fun. Shout out shout out to Cozy in the audience for being an amazing commander and willing to politely sit me down and explain how dumb and wrong I am and not even be too rude about it. It was pretty awesome. I really appreciate it. He's a hell of a dude. There you go. My one frustration, honestly, with Eve Galaxy Conquest right now is because if you're past Season 1, nobody else can join. Like, I'd like people to be able to join me, but it is what it is. Down with the Kaldari. We have 2 minutes left. I've also been getting into a lot of Balatro recently. Has anybody been playing Balatro? That game is fun. That game is addictive. What's counting down? My lockdown. I triggered the lockdown. The lockdown lasts for 30 minutes. We've got 1 minute and 41 seconds, and then we'll see the lockdown shut off, and then I might be able to finish the site. That can right there is the last can that I need to get. Also, been playing a lot of the new No Man's Sky Worlds 2 expansion. That's been fun. No, so this tower isn't the new hacking site inside of the Deathless system, or not the Deathless systems, but the Drifter Crisis systems. And if you get within range of one of these witnesses, or if you fail a hack at any time, the entire site goes into lockdown. And I was silly. So here we are. But they added in a thing that makes it so the lockdown shuts off after a minute, or after 30 minutes. So we're testing that right now. "29 seconds. Trying to get myself into position. Definitely cannot go straight in because there's that bubble there. Woo, woo. Let's not fucking die with 10 seconds left. Can we please not die with 10 seconds left? That'd be super cool. I'd really appreciate it if I didn't die with 10 seconds left. 3, 2, 1, boom. Time's up, Captain. The Drifters would rather blow up their collections than let us have them. Bring anything you manage to secure. Oh. Never mind. The lockdown doesn't end. I just fail. Okay. They're not shooting at me anymore, though. But the can exploded. Okay. All right. Well, like I said, I want to do my Eve Galaxy Conquest master site, master video. I want to do my weapons introductional video again. So next week, I'll be. I plan on doing turrets, then launchers, as 2 separate videos, just to make it so it's cleaner and more organized. Oh, let me go pee real quick, and then we'll do the New Eden news, and then we'll wrap things up for the night. I'll be right back. Hi, puppy. Are you giving them something to look at while I was gone? Yeah? Thanks, Zoria. Doggy. Doggy stream? Should I just go? Should I let the dog stream? Is that what we're doing now? Doggo stream. Okay. All right. We're gonna do the New Eden news and then wrap things up for the day. Hopefully, I'll be back tomorrow. No promises with the way my life is. Thank you guys for your patience today, for all the stream being late and for hanging out. It's been great, guys. Thank you for the support, especially to Bad Boy Smooth and Malik for supporting the stream directly. And I think Punch even threw some in there. It was very awesome. But let's go ahead and wrap things up with the New Eden news. Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and this is your New Eden news for February 5th, YC127. Capsuleer efforts lead to influenced improvements as crisis continues. Capsuleers have successfully completed more than 7,000 operations against the Drifters. Thanks to this, military forces are ready to deploy more effective intel as a second wave of crisis sites have begun to appear. These superior intel networks are bolstered by additional support from the SOCT. According to Elder Mentor Metashi Reich, quote, the Society will be working alongside the Amar, Caldari, Gallente, and Minmatar response teams to purge this threat, end quote. The SOCT has used intel gathered by Capsuleers to develop superior hyperspace tracking. These improvements will remove the negative impact of failed operations and boost the positive influence of successful operations. Of the 7,250 and rising operational successes, the Caldari state has shown a great number of triumphs against the Drifters so far. Chairman Akimaka Saraki commended Capsuleers for their support, citing, quote, a tradition of discipline and a strong understanding of duty, end quote, as the reason for their rapid responses. By contrast, Minmatar Republic citizens have suffered and their military forces were caught off guard. Clan's commons have been targeted by destructive scrutinizers, which use intensive radiation to visit a variety of nightmarish conditions on those trapped inside. The climbing death toll from these attacks have been a grim reminder as to the Drifters' destructive capabilities. In anticipation of a repeat of these tragedies, clan peoples in the newly targeted systems of Nian, Giffer, and Hadazeko have begun to flee. This unplanned exodus has resulted in confusion and putting more pressure on the emergency services. Many more, however, refuse to give up their homes. A clan chief based in Hadazoko told the Scope, quote, for generations we have fought the greedy advances of these damn Imperials. We are not going to roll over now and give them away our homes to these monsters without a hell of a fight, end quote. Headman General Kenneth Filmer, who is responsible for overseeing the Tribal Liberation Force activities in the system, has called on Capsuleers to, quote, aid in the defense of our clans, join in the work already being done, and push back the Drifter forces. Another system that is caught in the second wave of Drifter crisis is Tash Murkon, home system of the royal house of the same name. This Armarian system was the birthplace of Empress Katniss I herself. In a public statement, the Empress declared, quote, we Amar are one in the eyes of the Lord, and there is no system our military service people would not die to defend. We must all band together to support every system under attack, end quote. Sources inside the Imperial Palace has reported that despite this statement of equal support, the Empress has begun attending every military briefing regarding Tash Murkon in person. Throughout the royal houses, concerns have been loudly shared over how the Empress will react should her childhood home fall victim to continued Drifter attacks. News in brief. SOCT firmware updates promises the possibility of greater retrievals from observatory infiltrations. Almost 20,000 Navy service people sent joint international messages of thanks to Capsuleers who saved them following anti-Drifter actions. SOCT scientists have rejected theories founded on new gleaned data from unmoored observatories, calling data too corrupted and potentially falsified. Concord launches investigation at IGC corruption following last year's Garissus AT-20 sponsorship. And Capsuleers split over Deathless Circle defense as many support criminal research facilities. Mind Clash tournaments in Nibali go ahead as planned, despite fears of drifter attacks on venues. That is it for the New Eden News. Now some analysis. Obviously, all of this is in relation to the ongoing drifter attacks. There was one wave of drifter crisis events that resolved without any of them being completed by players, mostly because of the fact that it was too easy to cause negative damage to the progress by failing a site, and it took too little progress when you finished a site. So that's one of the things that they're addressing here, is that now we will be getting more progress per site completed and less progress lost, or no progress lost when sites are failed, allowing the actual progress of the crisis itself to progress all the way to its conclusion without timing out. And we've already seen with the next wave of crisis events that this is in fact the case, as most of them have risen to at or around 50% or more in 2 days, meaning that they will most likely complete by the end of the cycle. Now, they have called out many of the systems that are being invaded by name, and we're talking about the consequences therein. So not only are there rewards for running the sites, lucrative rewards for running the sites and completing the sites, but they're trying to emphasize through this New Eden News that there is an in-universe ramification of it. They're also trying to push back, it seems, against this narrative that there wasn't a lot of interest in the drifter sites, stressing that over 7,000 operations were done during the first 4-day cycle of the drifter operations. So people are running them for sure, and they're trying to increase the interest in that through this New Eden News post. But also, several of the posts, we now have several key targets that they're emphasizing lore-wise for us to pay attention to. If you're interested in helping out the Empress and her efforts, they have clearly signaled that the crisis in Tashmurkon, which is at like 40% as of this reading, that one's particularly important to her. Likewise, there is a site, they're specifying that the site here with Hadazeko, right? We have the Hadazeko here with, where was it? We have, yeah, the clan chief based in Hadazoko told the scope, for generations we have fought. So we know that while there are Minmatar that are attempting to escape the various systems, there are people making a stand specifically in Hadazoko. So the progress of those two crises may in fact have ramifications in the storyline ongoing, but we'll have to see. That's something that we're going to pay attention to see whether or not CCP can follow up with these things. In addition to that, we also see the SSCT firmware showing that we're getting extra doodads from the observatory infiltrations. They've increased the amount of loot in the observatory infiltrations by like 5 to 10 times. So they're pretty lucrative now. In addition to that, we see, like, again, like this 20,000 Navy service personnel. They're trying to emphasize to people like, hey guys, people are running these sites and they are appreciated by the baseliners within the universe. This is something that is having an impact in the universe that we can reflect on, which is a lot of what this whole RP or lore and all that sort of stuff is that, like, it's not just about the ISK that we earn, it's about the effects that we have on the universe itself. Finally, like this thing about the SOCT calling the gleaned data too corrupted and potentially falsified. The new gleaned data that has come out of these sites seem to show the best representation that we've ever had of things from the Shrouded Days and the Second Jovian Empire. The SOCT has recently been kind of called out a little bit by Yosef Akata, also known as the Deathless, as his records of his history showing that he actually came from the SOCT and left the SOCT because he was tired of the hindrances that they imposed upon him. They have been kind of very manipulating this whole situation, pushing their own narrative, and this feels like another piece of it. They want us to not only help against the drifters and against the Deathless, but they also want me to not. They also want us to not pay as much attention to the man behind the curtain, suggesting that a lot of this information that might be coming out now and soon is falsified. I wouldn't necessarily beat into it. The SOCT are not as blameless as they come across. And the other thing Oh yeah, also we see the Mind Clash tournament in Bali. So since we know that this is going ahead as planned, depending on how the Nabali crisis ends up, that we will want to see whether or not that has any effect on the Mind Clash stuff. But this is still very early days for the Drifter crisis. They seem to be escalating. There is new pieces of information, including new images coming from inside of the Drifter virtuality that have been discovered by players since this missive was put out. So this is an ongoing situation. This is the analysis for today, but please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As more information comes out, we will get it to you, because that's what I'm here to do, is put even in context for you, my fellow Empyreans, and keep us all up to date. So that said, thank you all for watching. I've been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and until next time, I'll see you in space. All right, cool. Great. Thank you, guys. All right, like I said, we have Eve Galaxy Conquest stuff to do. We've got weapon systems to do. We've got more Drifter Crisis stuff to do. So that's what's going to be coming up in the near future. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to stream tomorrow. If I tell you that I'm going to stream tomorrow, then almost certainly something's going to get in the way to make it so I can't. So if I can, I will be. If you want to keep up, please join the Discord. We will also be doing events from there. Dutch Gunner has his event on Saturday that you can get involved in. And of course, if you've never used one of my buddy codes, or if you've never gotten 1,000,000 free SP for your account, it doesn't matter how old your account is. If you haven't gotten your 1,000,000 free SP, you can use the link down below or in the comments in order to get that. And it goes to one of the people that supports this channel, or the Convocation Empyreans and its operations. We really, really appreciate it. And of course, the Convocation Empyreans is recruiting. We're getting active in doing fleets again. We've been doing fleets almost every day for the last couple of weeks. It's been really fun. Getting some new people involved, getting some fits going, and getting some home fronts done, and getting some crisis sites, doing some PvP runs and some mining. It's all available there, and we are here to maximize player engagement with EVE Online. If you want to come join me, please do so. But until then, until next time, I've been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden. And until next time, I'll see you in space.
Bring on the wrecking machine.
Like the stream for the guineas! For every city